Hello, I'm David Scott, and I'm here with my compatriot Sean Foley, and this is an episode of Words Are Bullshit, the only podcast that is unscripted and raw.
Wrong.
Stealing my lines.
Yes, because past David said it right.
Do you know what unscripted and raw means?
I know Eddie Murphy was raw.
I mean, aside from the sexual connotations,
Uh-huh.
what it really means is all those long, awkward pauses.
Okay.
The ones where if we had chemistry.
I thought we had chemistry.
I thought we did too, but...
Maybe it was calculus.
Have you heard us talk?
No! I've never heard us talk or read us talk.
So you haven't listened to the podcast before?
I have never sat in my room editing these podcasts, ever. That's why they're all so glorious.
Yeah. So, we did make a promise. We said we were going to talk about Frozen.
We did.
Aye. Now that you've had time to think about it, what have your impressions changed of it at all? Have you thought much more about it?
I've had time to have the entire movie digest in my mind, and honestly, it makes me think a little bit about The Little Mermaid, the main character. She, because The Little Mermaid kind of basically created that whole concept of the goofy princess, especially when Ariel didn't have her voice. And this princess is kind of a parody on The Little Mermaid because, marrying someone she just met and all that, parody of all the princesses. But it goes back to that, goofy princess that I love. And to be honest, I still really enjoy the movie.
I get that, and I don't think that's a negative. I think that's actually a very strong positive about it. The negative that I felt was that I don't think the movie was confident that people would appreciate that on its own. I mean, you notice it tries to force these comparisons and things internally.
Mm-hmm.
It never lets that just stand on its own as bad decision-making.
I see.
I mean, it does, but only after it painstakingly gives us a prince to be blatantly evil. No one's ever just like, you know what? He couldn't just say, you know what? We just met. This isn't working. I like you a lot, but I can't say that I'm deeply in love with you. He's got to be like, I like you. I never loved you. Turns out I'm evil too.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're saying. Where you're coming from.
Like, I feel that they didn't trust that their movie and what makes it truly different and a shining gem would be on its own. Okay, you know how people tell you about things like some of the best plays in history, like Shakespeare and the like, right?
Yes.
That in order to really appreciate a lot of the subtlety, you have to know about other things that are happening at the time, because they weren't included inside of the play because they were subtext. You knew what time period the play was happening in.
Exactly, and you knew, for example, in Macbeth, or you were supposed to know that, this is the ancestor of the people that are watching it, so, there was that added to it, but it was lost on us dumb modern day people.
Yeah. I don't think they trusted that people would automatically make the comparison to previous Disney movies or other princess movies. I don't think, because they try and force, and I think that's what makes the storyline more muddled than it could have been. It truly, I believe they could have streamlined a bunch. I think they could have flat out gotten rid of characters. The evil prince, I felt, could have entirely been replaced by the old guy from Weaseltown?
Wesselton. Yes, that's a good point. I like the fact that he's kind of presented as a kind of like almost a red herring, but he's still kind of a jerk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never feels important enough. Like, he never does anything really interesting.
They could have limited the prince and definitely strengthened him.
Doesn't it feel so much like they just made two characters out of one character? Like, if both of those characters had been one guy...
Yeah.
Maybe make him a little less blatantly evil. Just
instead of a prince, they could have easily been like, well, I'm their uncle.
I was liking the movie a lot more before anyone was truly evil, because, I mean, it's like... Yeah. I like ambiguousness, where we're investigating, what makes bad characters bad, because most people don't think they're evil.
Exactly.
And generally, they have reasons for what they've done. They feel betrayed or hurt. And, for a lot of the movie, you had that. You had people defending logical points of view. This chick is scary. She's done some terrible things. We're all in trouble because of her. You didn't have to want to take over her kingdom to want her dead. He had plenty of motivation without this blatant cartoon villain.
Very true. I do want to point out, though, what he did, though, is realistic for princes of that time period. If there is a time period, you can perceive.
That is a good point.
I mean, that's why they did it. For once, he is a realistic prince. Princes aren't good people. Monarchies normally aren't good. At least we believe so in America. Mm-hmm. So the concept of conniving, social engineering, all of this to get what he wants, because there's no way he can get it playing the game by the correct rules. You have to at least be like, hey, Disney presented that once.
That's true, but you know what? I would say that he didn't have to want her dead to want that.
That is true.
But, anywho, so, I think it is a wonderful movie. Mm-hmm. But after digesting it for a while, I like it a little less over time when I feel... It's not even... I don't think it's not good. I think it could have been so much better if it had been more streamlined. I feel it could have been, nearly perfect.
So it's not Olaf's fault, then?
It's not Olaf. I loved Olaf.
I think...
Did we already talk about this? Because every time
I think we have talked about Olaf. I do think that I like Olaf better than I like Sebastian or Flounder. I would take him any day of the week.
Yeah.
Flounder was always kind of pointless.
If anything, I would have enjoyed so much more Olaf.
Okay, well, Olaf versus, say, some of the Beauty and the Beast ones, like you had, what was his name, Pierre?
Pierre?
It's
been so long. I don't remember.
The candle dude.
Yeah, no. I don't know any of them by name. It's been, God.
Oh, the only one everyone knows is Chip and Mrs. Potts.
I didn't even know them. I forgot those were people.
Well, for most of it, in your defense, they weren't people. Now, were they?
There's an argument of the state of being. Do you stop being a person if you stop being a person for a little while?
As long as you're anthropomorphic, I think you're in that weird state where you're like, close enough.
Yeah.
Then again, a teacup isn't really anthropomorphic.
Oh my God, it's probably been more than a decade since I've seen Beauty and the Beast.
It's been about 6 years or so for me. We should really fix that problem, I say.
You know what? I did just recently go back and watch some older Disney movies. I watched The Fox and the Hound recently.
That was a great movie.
My God, that is heartbreaking.
It is sad. Disney movies were allowed to be sad ones. It was weird.
I think that's what made them great.
It is.
They were actually very dark films, generally. And they really... Well, I think for any film to be great, it has to touch on human pain and suffering. Otherwise, it's lacking the thing that defines us. I mean, we need all of our things.
That movie was interesting in the fact that it didn't... I mean, there wasn't a real bad guy in it, to my knowledge. I mean, you can blame the dog, the older dog, or the hunter. But they're all just being who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Man versus nature at that point?
Yeah, it is. All of them. All of them were versus their own nature. And that's what I liked about Frozen at first.
It was woman versus nature without a clearly defined villain. And until the very end... it was, man, this is a brave movie.
I do like how they used witchcraft as a metaphor for her first period.
oh, wow. I don't know about that. No.
She's a blossoming woman.
No.
She tried to hold it in, but she just got real emotional, and it all burst, just came flooding out at a party.
She can't feel. Never feel. Oh, God. That just reminds me of Princess Peach and how her powers were all emotion-based in that one video game. But enough about that. That game sucked, so let's not talk about that.
What game?
Super Princess Peach.
Never played it.
I played it for a little bit when I was working at GameStop. I rented out a new copy, and I played it, and I'm glad I did not finish.
Because I'm totally ADD, jumping way back to Fox and the Hound.
Oh man, okay.
That was a beautiful movie. All of those really gorgeously hand-painted, like almost watercolor backgrounds with the animation on top of it.
But weren't there some parts of it where it was really lazily animated?
No.
I remember you saying something. There was something when you watched it.
Yeah, the animation's very jarring because all the animation is done on top of still frame, gorgeously painted backgrounds. I mean, you're talking Happy Trees quality. Just absolutely gorgeous.
But wasn't the cleanup or something? There was something slightly off, I thought you said.
Oh, no, I think what you're talking about is Robin Hood.
Maybe.
Because
I loved Robin Hood as a kid.
I loved it too.
I thought it was a direct fantasy sequel to Fox and the Hound somehow.
Having watched it last week, I don't think it's a very good movie.
At all?
Almost at all, yeah, no. It's weird. It is really weird. It jumps around all over the place. It's all the characters have strange motivations. The entire thumb-sucking thing with Prince John. I want my mommy! I have a dirty thumb.
He might be slightly retarded. He's the lesser brother. Remember that.
Yeah. It was just so strange, and it exists in this world where someone could take Robin Hood and Little John in Giant Bear who is a giant bear, and for gypsies. Oh, gypsies, and not notice it's just such a bizarre movie.
Hey, I thought
it was a funny scene. It's funny when you're 12.
Yeah. Well, it was designed for you when you were 12.
I guess.
You know what movie I think still holds up?
What?
It is actually weird. Rescuers Down Under.
Yes. I actually think it's better than the original
I did
Rescuers.
not really like The Rescuers, to be completely honest. And it's weird because it's not only is it a sequel that Disney made, it actually made it to the theater, which is very rare for their Disney sequels.
It was beautifully animated.
It was better than the first one.
The birds.
Oh man, that giant golden eagle or whatever it was.
That's the other thing. If you rewatch Robin Hood, it is not. Everything is all scratchy and just jerkily animated. Sword in the Stone, same time period.
Yeah.
Much more. I was expecting something similar because I'm like, or you go back even earlier and look at, say,
Dumbo.
Oh my God! You know what I was watching recently?
Dumbo.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt crying to Dumbo.
What?
He faked it, but
okay.
He was on Conan O'Brien, and he was talking about the most emotional scene for him, where the movie that always makes him cry is Dumbo, and it's the scene where his mother is in chains, and she's stretching against her chains, and she puts her trunk out through the barred window, and she curls up and holds Dumbo up against her. And it's just like, oh my God, that is a heart-wrenching movie. And it's dark, and the part where Dumbo gets drunk is really cool.
Yes, that was very trippy. For
a lot of people forget about that Dumbo got drunk.
That is one of the two probably darkest parts in Disney, really.
Everything's so politically correct. They don't get kids drunk anymore.
What I love is Pinocchio. I know it's a really early one, but remember in Pinocchio how those kids turned into donkeys and all that, and stuff happens, Pinocchio gets rescued, whatever.
Yeah.
They never revisit those children. Those children never get saved.
They disappear entirely.
They're donkeys for the rest of their life, or in this weird, almost donkey state.
But you notice that park ends up totally abandoned. The kids disappear entirely. They don't leave the
There's
island.
no, very last moment, oh, hey, everything's fine, the kids are everything, there's a bright light, it's all good.
We could be wrong about this, because I haven't watched Pinocchio in forever, but I do remember it being an awesome movie. I want to watch it again.
We should totally watch that and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and I've been trying to rewatch Sword in the Stone lately. That's on Netflix.
We need to watch it before it leaves, like everything seems to do on Netflix.
Oh, everything leaves, and then they put more stuff up. That's the way Netflix works.
People don't get that. They're like, oh no, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. It's like, dude.
Have you not been using Netflix? You know what? It's the new thing for them.
No, what I love is, I keep pointing it out, it's like, contracts end, right?
Yeah.
There's no, we own this now.
Well, they can only put so much on at a time.
They only have so much money, yeah.
This isn't about contracts. Sometimes it gets removed because of contractual reasons. I think more often than not, they only have a budget to put so many things on, and they have to cycle it out. It's like a video store. They can't literally put every video they ever owned on at once.
I find it ridiculous. Some people, myself, got rid of their physical copies of certain shows because we're like, oh man, times are tough. We're at war, and then they're like, hey, it's on Netflix, and then they're like, what if it never? What if it one day leaves Netflix? Oh God, I might have made a huge mistake.
It'll be back on Netflix.
That's what happens to news radio all the time.
Yeah. Oh, News Radio. That was such a good show.
I miss Phil Hartman. And my relative of some sort was on there, Dave Foley, Kids in the Hall, you know.
Yeah. I always love finding Dave Foley and new stuff. He feels like an inside joke at this point. He's not even a famous guy. It's just like...
That's so mean.
You know what I loved him in recently is...
Always Sunny?
Always. You're reading my mind.
I would like to make an official apology. I was wrong. Always Sunny, it looks like, has one more season left. That's what happens when you don't fact check. When you're like, oh man, I'm reading something about the last season. Hey, the season's just about to start. This must be the last season.
Even if the 10th season is the last season, it's still about 10 seasons too short.
I need more Danny DeVito.
I do need more.
I think the last episode should be his actual physical funeral at this point.
Do you think so?
They can last 20 more seasons.
I always like joking with Zach that Frank isn't just a character. That is who Danny DeVito is now.
Yes.
The Penguin was just a dry run. He's like, man, that's the way to live.
Oh, God. It's weird seeing him between seasons and like interviews and stuff where he has gray hair and it's short and stuff.
It is strange. He's really old.
He is. He's like at least
100.
102, actually. It's awkward. I'm pretty sure he's in his 70s, which is weird to think of, you know?
We're debating how old he is, and we're sitting in front of a computer.
Let's not use the computer.
That's not... Now, I actually have a good reason for that. I really want to avoid that because...
Then you have to realize that he's a mortal man that may die one day.
Let's see if you can guess why I don't want to use the computer.
Because we're doing stuff?
It's because I have a mechanical keyboard. And let me tell you, goddamn, everyone will hear that click-click-clack.
Oh, but when it's my keyboard, oh, Sean, why don't you check the banned books list?
I haven't listened to the podcast. Is that extremely awful?
That's really bad. We're sorry. Now you're doing it. Now you're looking for stuff.
I am.
You can't listen to it you can't listen to our podcast while we're doing a podcast, David. That's not cool.
I think it's a great way to do filler.
At that point, why don't you just read everything that's on a random webpage you just clicked on?
This isn't random. I actually pulled up the Humble audiobook bundle here.
It has good authors like Salman Rushdie, which he has a fatwa on his head, I'm pretty sure still.
You know, I am familiar. Cormac McCarthy, Piers Anthony.
Whoa, what did Piers Anthony have
on a pale horse?
I heard that was good. But it's Piers Anthony, and he makes me question stuff.
I've never read anything good by him.
You shut your filthy mouth. The first few Xanth novels were excellent.
I didn't read those.
Then they got very punny.
But you know what? I want. If you're not familiar with the Humble Bundle, it is just it's a monthly budget for me now.
It is the way to do things on the internet.
I've read most of their book bundles that they've done. Did you read much from their last book bundle?
I read The Last Unicorn.
That doesn't count.
You shut your filthy mouth.
I'm not saying it doesn't count for any reason other than the fact that it appears to be the only book you were able to finish. You read it.
You shut your mouth! I read Little Brother.
Oh, that's true. You did.
I read it, finished it, enjoyed the hell out of it. I want to one day read the sequel. It's just I'm so busy.
Have you read Pirate Cinema? That was in another Humble Bundle.
Was it in the same Humble Bundle?
I don't think so.
I've only bought the one.
I think
about reading Earthshaker next. I read the Will Wheaton book.
Earthshaker's a pretty short, funnish book. I didn't really like it a ton.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say that
I'm a chapter 2 into that. I could finish it soon.
The Humble Bundle is known for video games, but when they put out books, I find myself reading books that I would otherwise not have known about that are just brilliant and enjoyable. I love them.
I would not have read Will Wheaton's book otherwise.
That's not a bad thing.
He seems to like to talk to himself about how he made horrible mistakes, and then in the end he's like, maybe you shouldn't be like, hey, leaving Star Wars ruined your life when you're a grown ass adult and you need to figure your shit out. I don't know. You can't keep calling yourself such a great writer when all you write about is yourself. This might as well just be the man's life journal.
And you're writing.
Yeah.
All you're writing about is your writing.
Exactly.
Honestly, I liked Will Wheaton until I read that book, and then I read that book.
It had the opposite effect for you.
It did. It felt very much like I was looking into the mind of a very shallow person who couldn't get past their life choices. It was so strange to me. Like, this person needs a lot of therapy.
And the ironic thing is he talks about how shallow and he was at first when he first started his blog, because he's all like, everything is great, I love life. In the meantime, he's like, I need more razors. Oh, God. There are never enough razors.
Yeah. Anywho, so the new Humble Bundle is an audiobook bundle, which I'm on the fence about.
Now that I know On a Pale Horse is on there, I might get, but I'm afraid Piers Anthony himself will be whispering these things to me.
The ones that I think look really interesting are Stolen by Lucy Christopher and Junkie by William S. Burroughs. And the Satanic Verses, I'm kind of curious. You know, I do a lot of audiobooks now. But I get them from our local library.
Really?
Yeah, because they have...
On CD?
No. It's so much cooler than that. Our local library, the Harris County one, they have digital audiobooks that you can check out. I never have to leave the house. I pull up my phone, I open up the app, I check it out, I download it, and I listen to it to and from work on the way to and from work.
It's so easy, it feels like piracy.
It almost does. It's easier than piracy.
Wow.
I browse their catalog online. I can do this without ever... I don't even get out of bed.
What if this happened with movies and video games?
Yeah. Well, they do movies at the library. You can check out movies from the library.
That is true.
But,
you can still rent VHS tapes.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
No, people who say the libraries are dying, I don't think they've actually gone to the library. People who say libraries are dying can afford to buy everything they ever want to read. And you know what? I think they also pirate. And I will tell you this, that I was a pirate. And between the library and Pandora and YouTube and services like these, I don't pirate anything anymore. Netflix, I have legitimate ways to access media that I crave and want and fill my time without breaking the law anymore. And I feel really good about that. And I think the people, anyone I've ever heard argue that libraries are dead, they are either pirates or they just spend tons of money on books and movies and things.
I have a confession to make. You know those kids who sit in the aisle at Barnes & Noble and read the Japanese comics and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Or the people who sit in the chairs every night and read books?
Yeah.
I've done that.
I've done that too.
But I've also recently, in the last few years, did that at the library. I didn't even have to check out a book. It was amazing. It's the same thing as Barnes & Noble, but you don't get those horrible looks. You know?
They're horrible looks. Never paid attention.
Really? No. At Barnes & Noble, people tend to not put their stuff back. So not only are you bending things, they're trying to sell. That is their job. They try to sell books. A lot of people don't know that. So they just leave these thrown everywhere.
I am fully aware that they're trying to sell books at god-awful prices. I don't know who would pay like $20 for a paperback.
People that work at GameStop because they're owned by the same company. They get a discount.
It's the only thing Barnes & Noble has done good is they released their classics for like $7. And those are like hardbound. Those are pretty nice copies.
They're pretty nice copies, but a lot of them are books that are in the public domain. So I guess for some people they would want a physical copy.
Not necessarily. Depending upon the translation, it might not be in the public domain.
That is true. That is very true.
My favorite translation of The Count of Monte Cristo, not public domain. It was only done within the past, decade or so.
But look at, say, The Wizard of Oz. That's public domain now, but they're probably still selling it for cash.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't know who that cash goes to is the weird thing. Because it doesn't have to go back to the creator. You know, the creator's family, whoever's in charge.
It goes to the publisher.
Okay. They deserve it.
Yeah.
They made it leather bound. With pretty pictures.
But I mean, for an industry that is literally competing with piracy and electronic editions, you would think they would find a way to release a book for cheaper. Actually, electronic editions, why are they so frickin' expensive? Why are they asking $10 for a 1 megabyte download?
What's crazy is I've only pirated one book, and that's because I could not pay the author and them to receive the money. It was To Kill a Mockingbird. Because she got screwed over. Harper, is that her name? Harper Lee or something?
Harper Lee.
Yeah. She got screwed over horribly, and all that. She was not receiving a dime of the royalties for that book, To Kill a Mockingbird, and there was no way to digitally buy it, and even if I could, it would not get money to her. So I pirated it. And it took forever to find a place to do that. So, is that a common thing, though? Do people often pirate books? Or did they?
Less often, but they do.
Okay, because I see movies. I think it's because you actually have to type or scan stuff in for a lot of books still.
Well, yeah. Books are generally a more involved medium. You can't passively enjoy a book.
Aren't you kind of passively enjoying a book that you're listening to on audiobooks, though?
You can do that. But that's not really a book. It is and it isn't. You get what I'm saying?
I see. So it's kind of, is it at all comparable to when I was a child and I was listening to
your parents read to you?
That, or I was going to say the little audio tapes that they had where you put it in and it's like, oh, it's The Rocketeer from the simplified book that they give you and you can read along with it.
Do you remember The Rocketeer?
Rocketeer was awesome.
I remember it being awesome, but you know what? I'm really worried.
What?
What if it's not awesome?
Oh God, why would you say that?
Because, I've been thinking about things like this, and all the pieces are there for that to have been a really terrible movie.
Oh no, it had Nazis in it. That could have gone horrible.
What if The Rocketeer isn't good and we don't know because we haven't watched it since we were kids?
Oh, why would you do that? Oh God. Ow. That hurts. I'm gonna assume it held up. Did you know that? Okay, so Touchstone made that movie, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And Touchstone is owned by Disney. Oh, just a random thought. There was also a comic book, The Rocketeer, first.
A movie that does hold up is Short Circuit.
Yes, Johnny Five is alive.
He is.
He is.
Yes.
What about Short Circuit 2?
I haven't watched it in too long. I remember it being funny.
I like it when they're all punching the numbers into the calculator to send the code.
Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
I love it because they didn't know Morse code or whatever, so it's just like, downtown.
They're like, why didn't they know Morse code?
Oh, the woman wouldn't know Morse code either, though, because
right.
she's not well, that sounds really mean. She's not of that discipline.
She was a woman.
Physically, she was, yes.
I wasn't saying that's not why she would know Morse code. That was just an observation. She was a woman.
What was her job? We don't remember, so she didn't have a job. Let's just simplify it.
I'll be honest, she didn't really have much of a character. She was really just there for the main guy to fall in love with.
Johnny Five?
No, the white one.
I thought it was for the guy who was Indian and he...
It should have been because he was the only legacy character from the last one. But no, the crook. He was the one who fell in love with her and changed and became a good guy. You know what? I think that might have been a bad movie.
Oh man, Short Circuit 2, I remember being awesome because he got like that awesome mohawk thingy from like Radio Shack, which they totally made Radio Shack seem more awesome than it was.
They did. I do love it when he goes pirate. Arr! Can of cake.
Oh man, I really don't think that movie would hold up.
I don't want to watch it.
What about Gremlins? Do you think that held up?
Gremlins was not a comedy for me. That was a terrifying thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
I watched it when I was way too young, and then I went to hide in the bathroom but the bathroom was covered in spitballs, like really, really giant spitballs. because it was like at a nursery, and they didn't really take good care of the nursery, and so the kids just kind of trashed the bathroom. And there were wads of what, but these paper things, they looked kind of like the eggs growing out of the walls.
Oh God!
So that didn't help at all.
Oh man!
I'm just now browsing over here. I think we're running out of time.
Oh man, that means we better do another podcast a lot faster than this one.
I remember us wanting to talk about other things.
Yeah, lots of other things, but maybe we'll save that. Maybe we'll actually do a podcast next week.
Maybe. I would like to. But just so everyone knows, we are up on wordsarebullshit.com now. I haven't designed the website. It's just a basic template, but
you didn't have to tell people that. They may not have known.
Yeah.
Or maybe we were doing it ironically.
Ironically.
We're not lazy. So definitely check that out. We also have some blog posts that we be doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have, right now we have a guest one up. We're also going to be posting ourselves, of course, and we hope everyone enjoys that.
And feel free to email us and talk to us however you want, because we have forums for communication now. You can even post comments.
Yeah, we have an email link there, right, for each one of us?
Yeah, we have email links.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Right.
It is awesome, although we have never checked those emails.
Yeah, that is true.
That's not happening anytime soon. Anywho, thank you so much for joining us for Words Are Bullshit. We hope you have a wonderful evening.
Peace out, yo.